It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop unless you hit him in the back with a stick. Then he'll fall over like an old man, my back, and explode as soon as he hits the ground. Hey, what's up? This is Gary from Raz Rentals. And finally, after what felt like 50 years, I'm going to review the hardly brand new NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Chrome Dome. I've had this thing in my office since September 18th. That was 4 months ago. I've been staring at this box for way too long, so let's get into it already. I can't wait any longer. Chrome Dome comes in this amazing box which replicates the look of the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles VHS tapes that we all had back in the day. This is the 6th in hopefully a long line of NECA deluxe figures. Recently I reviewed the Pizza Monsters, which was number 7. So let's hope this line gets to maybe like 20 or something like that before they call everything quits. All of these covers were done by Dan Elson, and this dude has just been doing an amazing job. I could totally see this cover here as like one of those real tape covers. It looks fantastic. The art is really nice, and it really makes Chrome Dome appear intimidating and threatening. On the side here, you can see that, it looks just like the classic tapes as well. Same thing as all the other deluxe figures. This deluxe figure is called the Colossal Chrome Dome. And, I just love the look at these things. I think they're great. All right, on the back here, you can see some more awesome artwork by Dan Elson. You can see Chrome Dome in the forefront here, and then Zach and Casey Jones getting ready to attack. Now, Zach is the 5th turtle, and come on, he's got to be coming soon, right? It seems kind of surprising that he hasn't been released yet, but he has been hinted at. The description reads, a robotic warrior of superior intelligence. Chrome Dome was created to command the foot soldiers during construction of the Technodrome Mark II. With its impenetrable adamantium skin, Shredder designed the colossal Chrome Dome to be utterly invincible. Unless the Turtles can discover Chrome Dome's vulnerable control panel, they are no match for this mighty mechanical menace. All of that is good. Very, very good. So, you go all the way to the other side. Oh, I should mention this too, which is always nice. Down the bottom here, it does list the people who worked on this. Director Randy Falk, Trevor Zammit, I don't know how to pronounce any of these people's names. Sculpt and fabrication, Brody Perkins. Paint, Jeffrey Trapp, Mike Puzo. Prototypes, Roger Fernandez. Photography, Stephen Mizurek. Packaging, Jason Langston. Illustrations, Dan Elson. Oh, look at this. It's very nice too. It says accessories, laser blaster, computer, swords, interchangeable hands, belt, and sheath. That's pretty awesome. I'm glad that they started listing what accessories are included in these deluxe sets. I think that's really awesome for collectors who don't know what these bits and pieces are. However, it kind of is putting me out of a job. I mean, it is my job to let people know what the accessories are included. So, if you open this up, you can see, if you get rid of the glare, too many lights. You can see on the left here, there's this very nice action shot of Chrome Dome. Now that is an amazing looking gun. That's just really awesome. That's really cool. But even more awesome than that is actually seeing this figure standing right there. Look at that. He's just like gigantic. When you compare him to every other character in this figure or in this toy line, he outscales all of them. So I'm really excited to take a look at this finally and, put this guy on my shelf next to my Ninja Turtles. That's a lie. None of my Ninja Turtles are on the shelves right now. They're in boxes next to me. So, I have a lot of patience, but I just can't wait any longer. I'm going to open this dude up now, move him around, and hopefully nothing is broken. Because I swear, if something's broken after all this time, that's it, man. That's it. So hopefully when I come back, I'm not in a drunken stupor or something like that. I'll talk to you in a few seconds. Alright, so real quick before I show Chrome Dome, I do want to talk about the diorama behind Chrome Dome, because this is pretty cool looking. This is like a Technodrome diorama here, because you kind of have like, you have the like the gateway to the Channel 6 building. And what's interesting is down here on these screens, they have a few shots from the cartoon, and you kind of wonder if these are like hints of what's to come. All right, so from what I can tell, there are a few things that have been announced here. in this NECA Fred Wolf series, such as the Mousers here. NECA just recently had a pre-order for the Mousers on the NECA store. I don't even know if they're supposed to be released in Target later down the line. So I ordered 2 of them myself. Down here, there is Toka. That has been announced. There is a Toka and Razar 2-pack, I assume, coming out this year. That's from the episode, what the heck is it? The Mutant Hunter, Dirk Savage Mutant Hunter from season 7. Now, this one, I've actually been having a little bit of a hard time telling who that is, because that kind of looks like Burn, but the shirt doesn't look blue. So I've been having a hard time making that out, because it kind of looks like Burn standing next to Irma. But like I said, it's just kind of hard for me to really tell because it's kind of blurry. And down here you have a picture of Bebop and Rocksteady's gang. And we all know that, what's his name? The bat guy. I can't remember. Is it Scrag or something like that? He's a part of the Loot Crate, but I've always wanted to get the lizard guy. I hope we get him. The machine is now alive to wreak havoc in your lives. Man, this guy looks amazing. And usually I wouldn't use a white background because, I don't know, I just don't like how the toys look standing in front of it. But I got it because he has so much black on him. You wouldn't be able to see any of them if I just had him sitting on my usual black background. This guy is pretty awesome, and I'm so happy to finally open him up. I mean, after all, this is the largest figure in this giant line of Fred Wolf toys. His paint deco is very eye-catching, and I think they did a pretty good job of... I guess there's not much on the back, but on the front here, I think they did a pretty good job of faking a shiny chrome look. And I also think that this guy looks a little more solid than a lot of the NECA action figures. How sometimes you see balls and stuff like that and joints? It's like everything on this guy appears pretty practical, all of his joints and appendages, all of his joints and appendages just look like they flow really well into one another. And, he really gives off the illusion that he could just start walking around at any moment. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but sometimes with these NECA action figures, sometimes you get wet spots. I don't know if you can see that or not, in his knee there, it's a little wet and you usually have to wipe it up a little bit. I don't know what the heck that's from, It'll stay wet in the box for a long time until you finally open it up and wipe that off. I've had many NECA toys that have come like that, so I don't know what's up with that. Alright, so I'm going to compare this guy to his cartoon appearance, talk about his scale, compare him to the original 1991 action figure, and discuss all the accessories included. But first, I'm going to talk about his cartoon history. Chrome Dome appeared in 2 episodes of the original Ninja Turtle cartoon. He first appeared in the season 6 hour-long special, Planet of the Turtleoids. Now, I've been talking about this episode a lot lately, first in my Mondo Gecko and Kerma review, and again in my Ground Chuck and Dirtbag review. In each video, I mostly talked about, just that specific character's storyline and not the episode as a whole. So I barely talked about Chrome Dome until now. In Planet of the Turtleoids, the Turtles travel to Shell-Rila, home of the Turtleoids. But back on Earth, April O'Neil does what she does best. Get kidnapped. Geez, April, could you be any more predictable? She tries to call the Turtles for help, but Rocksteady grabs her communicator. He waits for the Turtles to answer, but when they don't, Bebop figures it can only mean one thing. The Turtles are gone. They report their findings to the Shredder, and he assumes that they were killed by Groundchuck and Dirtbag. Kaloo Kalay! Now the city will be his. At the Technodrome, the Shredder plans to use New York City's resources for the most gigantic construction job in history. His foot soldiers will carry out the construction, but he needs someone to lead them. He needs a robot that is super intelligent and utterly invincible. So he builds Chrome Dome. Chrome Dome's skin is made out of adamantium, which is the strongest metal in the universe. I looked up to see if Marvel owned the copyright to adamantium, but apparently it's been used for a long time, even before Marvel made it a household name. But David Wise was probably referencing Wolverine here. All right, so the Shredder runs out of adamantium, and Krang gives him a sheet of ordinary steel to cover up Chrome Dome's main control panel. Wouldn't it have been better if, maybe Chrome Dome's pinkies were made out of steel and not his main control panel? The most important part of his robotic body. April overhears the location of Chrome Dome's weak spot, so later on she can tell the Turtles and they can defeat him. Chrome Dome arises from his birth table, and he's just awesome looking. He's also gigantic. I mean, he's huge compared to April and everybody else. Much bigger than this NECA action figure, in this episode at least. Shredder, the Foot, and his newest creation, Chrome Dome, travel to New York. He commands Chrome Dome to have the Foot Soldiers retrieve as much steel as they can find. As the Foot Soldiers begin to bring back steel, Chrome Dome commands them to perform their next task. What are they building? The Technodrome Mark II. Now, this thing is pretty awesome. It's essentially a golden mini Technodrome. Once it's completed, Shredder does what anybody would do. He tries to run over April. But almost immediately, the Turtles arrive from Shell-Rala and destroy the Mark II with one shot from Kerma's skyscraper spaceship. Lame. That's it. Everything was building to this, and that's it. So Chrome Dome finds the guys, and he's going to try to kill them, but April immediately tells them about his weak spot. And, Chrome Dome does get a few nice hits in there, but Donnie throws his bow right at the weak spot, which makes him fall over and explode. Double lame. I can't believe how underwhelming this fight was. It is really a letdown. It was honestly less than a minute, this battle. Yes, I checked the time. I know steel's not as strong as adamantium, but I don't think anyone's throwing a stick through a 2-inch piece of steel anytime soon. Shredder really did him a disservice.
Have you tried getting a thicker metal? I swear you put a 2-inch layer of tinfoil back there.
I thought about it, but I just don't have the money for that.
Why not?
Krang spends all our money on mutagen, and what he doesn't, he loses at the track.
What about pots and pans? Once, I even saw Batman stop a bullet with a metal tray. It was in a movie.
We've already tried it. You were made as well as we could make you. Revel in your time. I want more life. Shredder.
Despite Chrome Dome's underwhelming end, I do think that this special is a lot of fun. There's a lot of crap all crammed into this episode that I didn't even mention. It's essentially a 1991 toy advertisement. You got Chrome Dome, Ground Chuck and Dirtbag, Tattoo. I even think that the Technodrome Mark II is kind of their way of putting a toy Technodrome on screen. It's not like the Scout, but it is smaller in size and kind of similar, just the idea of it to the 1990 toy. This is how you can wrap your head around why your toy Technodrome is as small as it is. Chrome Dome next appeared in the season 7 episode Night of the Rogues. Shredder gets tired of Bebop and Rocksteady always making a mess of everything, so he decides to put together a group of evil villains. He hopes that with their powers combined, they can kill the Turtles once and for all. One of those evil villains is the newly rebuilt Chrome Dome. He's a little smaller this time around, and I'm pretty sure that he's not made of adamantium anymore. Shredder says that he almost defeated the Turtles last time. Did he? Alright, so here's all of Shredder's minions, or evil warriors, whatever you want to call his dastardly group of rogues. You got the Rat King, Slash, Leatherhead, Tempestra, Chrome Dome, Anthrax, and don't forget about Scumbug. They fight the Turtles in the sewers, and the Turtles have to flee because they're no match for this gang of villains. This is actually a pretty decent fight. I do like this. In order to pull the guys out of hiding, the rogues decide to wreak havoc in the city. Chrome Dome teams up with Anthrax, and they attack the New York Stock Exchange. Their evil scheme was a success because Leo tries to stop them, and they capture him. The other guys get captured as well, and they're all taken to a giant statue on top of a bug zapper building. Inside of this building, the turtles are tied up, and Chrome Dome leaves them with a disintegrator. Now, this is actually a pretty cool looking disintegrator. I kind of feel like maybe this could have been an extra accessory. You know, this could have been something cool that they could have included here. Or maybe even the ability to open his chest and pull that out of his chest. But, whatever. This toy is cool enough, he doesn't have to have special abilities and stuff like that. Splinter and April team up with Casey and Zack the Fifth Turtle so that they can find the Ninja Turtles. They spy on the rogues from afar and decide to go after Chrome Dome when he leaves the group to recharge his power. They follow him into some factory-looking thing, and Casey attacks. Casey doesn't stand a chance, and neither does Splinter, and neither does Zack, all right? This is when Splinter tells Casey that he has a plan. When I give the word, hit that button. As you can see, he goes in some sort of compressor, and now you know exactly what's going to happen. Chrome Dome jumps inside, Splinter gives the word, jumps out, and crunch. So, where do you think the line is between ripoff and homage? Obviously, this is, the Terminator. If it was an homage, should Splinter have said something like, Casey, I have a plan, I saw this in a movie, something like that? Should he have said something at the end like, now Chrome Dome has been terminated? Just something to try to, to let you know that they're purposely making this reference and not just trying to copy it for themselves. So, Zack pulls up a computer, he hooks it up to Chrome Dome's brain. I kind of think that this would have been cool too if they would have included a extra head that had like the opening so you could see his robotic brain inside. And using the computer, Zack is able to learn that the turtles are on top of the big zapper building, and they only have 6 minutes, 21 seconds to turtle termination. And that's all we see of Chrome Dome in this episode. I like this episode a lot, just because I think that the battles are actually like battles in this. Like, there's some pretty cool fights. They're not just like silly slapstick. It actually feels like the villains are threatening. And I love seeing all the cool villains team up, especially Scumbug and Anthrax, because this is their first and only cartoon appearance. That's pretty awesome. I think that Chrome Dome finally gets some better screen time here. Like, he actually, feels like a threat. Like, the guys try to attack him for a while, and they just can't put like a dent in him or anything. The only way that they're able to stop him is by destroying this machine with an even more powerful machine. So let's see how well NECA did taking this cartoon design and making it into a 3D action figure. All right, so here's the head. All right, his head sort of looks like a samurai helmet, and it also kind of appears like his face has like a mask on it. He's got those bright red lifeless eyes. And now here is the toy. You can see that they did a really good job of copying all those shapes. It looks pretty good. I think maybe like a minor nitpick is that the eyes are a little smaller than they thought they would be. I always just kind of picture them to be like sort of big and very like pointed at the edges, very bright red. These look fine, they're just a little different. My other minor nitpick is that when you watch it in the cartoon, right, that helmet shape behind his head has black lines all in it. You see that? That like breaks up the different pieces of this helmet. When you look at this action figure, for some reason they did not color all of the black lines, which is very unusual. You think that they would have done that, especially like they did the wings. Like they always like color in all those black lines, but for whatever reason, they didn't color the black lines in on the helmet piece. So like when you turn him around, like the back of his helmet is just very bright white and just kind of looks like an igloo. Here you can see his chest plate and his upper torso. And now when we go to the action figure, you can see that, they did a pretty good job of matching the chest plate and the upper torso. Certain bits are a little different proportionately, like sort of that like U there it kind of protrudes a little more in the cartoon. But other than that, it's pretty close. For me, I kind of see like a frowny face when I look at this thing. I see like two eyes, a nose, and like, a big frown there. This shape down here, this like U, that only appears sometimes in the show. Lots of other times they get a little lazy and they just sort of draw straight lines going across his abdomen. He has these like vents underneath his arms right there. You can see that in the show too. That's all there. In the show, he never actually wears this like sword belt. He never actually uses swords in the cartoon, to be honest with you. And I'll talk about that more when I get to accessories. So you only get to see this like blue belt underneath. And that looks perfectly fine. You can remove this sword belt, but I don't. Back here, you can see like the steel plate. You know what? I'll move. I'll take this belt off. Fine. See that? You can see that like steel plate that covers his main control panel, but for some reason they didn't paint it silver. They just left it blue. So, whatever. On his arm, you can see that he has this like circle shape on his shoulder. He has in the cartoon there are actually two like silver ovals. And then he has this blue bit right here on his forearm above these two red bands. If you look at it in the cartoon, he has all that. But like I said, those silver shapes are usually more oval than they are circular. On the back of his tricep, you can see that he has like a blue shape with, it's segmented. On this action figure, you can see that too. I like the colors on this guy. I think they look pretty cool. Here you can see that his fingers are segmented, and it kind of looks like his middle finger knuckles are like circles, They just look very, very robotic. If you look at it in the show, you can see all those different segments, so that's pretty cool. But most of the times, it's very hard to see because he's so black. Like, could you imagine, like, all right, you're going to multiply all your animation time by 15 so you can figure out all these segments in these tiny fingers. Then we'll paint them all black so people can barely see it. Like, oh, wow, boss, that sounds like a really good waste of my time. As you can see, on his legs, he sort of has like a triangle on his thighs. He has those cool blue circles with the red circles inside of them on his knees. You have that triangle segmented shape underneath his knee. And then you kind of have like, there's like silver circles on the insides of his knees, his ankles. He has like some plates on the inside of his thigh. He also has another plate on the outside of his thigh. And, not much in the back, not very much at all. In the cartoon, you can see that he does indeed have all of those shapes. They did a pretty good job of copying all that. The only thing they really missed was that like little piece of silver between the top of his foot and his shin. Other than that, I'm pretty sure they got everything. You can see here that there's actually some like cool etching on the top of his feet, which looks pretty nice. There's also like a like just sort of like a thin band around his leg. I guess maybe that's where like, these different mechanical pieces are attached together. I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's kind of hard to pick it up on camera because it is so dark, but in person, you see it a lot better, and, it looks really awesome. On Chrome Dome's back, you pretty much have nothing except for that one plate, and you also have his giant wings. Now, Chrome Dome never flies or anything like that, so maybe these are more of a defensive, like, armor or something like that. But, they look pretty cool. They fit there very nice. In the cartoon, sometimes it appears like there's a little bit of space between the wings, but most of the time there isn't, so this action figure looks great. Now, let's talk about scale. In the Planet of the Turtleoids episode, Chrome Dome is gigantic. He's huge. This is emphasized by his long body and smaller head. I think his proportions appear to be more like standard comic book proportions, around 8 heads tall. When you get to Night of the Rogues, they shrink him down and enlarge his metallic cranium. He's more cartoony looking. Even the igloo piece looks a little smaller than it does in Planet of the Turtleoids. I believe that Chrome Dome's size and scale is based more on this episode than Planet of the Turtleoids. Now, here is this brand new NECA action figure next to Mikey. And as you can see, the top of Michelangelo's head lines about maybe belt level. Now, here's a hypothetical. I think this guy is around 10 inches tall. He's definitely not 12 inches. So I didn't measure him because I'm a slacker. But, all right. So if NECA stretched him out a little bit, made him like 12 inches or 15 inches, but he cost like $60 instead of $40, would you still buy him? I would. Now that we're done comparing this guy to his appearance on screen, we're going to compare him to the original 1991 action figure that his design is based off of. I just want to say this. I hate the original Chrome Dome stance. He is the hardest Ninja Turtle action figure to stand of all. It's just his feet are awful. But, he looks cool. You just got to stick him up against something but like I said, his stance is just awful, terrible. So we'll take a look here. We'll see what they kept. We'll see some of the things that they, took out because they had to simplify the design a little bit. I'm not going to get too detailed in the original Chrome Dome because eventually I would love to do a 1991 Chrome Dome review, and just go over that fully. So we'll just kind of go over this stuff pretty quick. The main thing you have to keep in mind when you look at this, NECA Chrome Dome compared to the original Chrome Dome is that, everything has just been streamlined. Everything is very simplified. A lot of things are more smooth now. If you look at the helmet, a lot of the shapes are the same, but, it's just more detailed. Like the segments of the helmet, they're a little more rounded. Here you just have like one kind of straight line going all the way down. You have these little, they're not horns, but those little pieces that go up above the eyes. This is what I'm talking about. Like even the original action figure's eyes, they were just kind of like, very sharp, very big and red and, threatening. One missing item right off the bat here is there is like this little, I don't know, it's like a circle grid or something like that on his chest. I don't know if that's like a symbol for something. I don't know. On this like frowny face part here, you have a couple more lines. He is missing this kind of like belt underneath the belt with these red dots. The belt is more simplified. If you look at the arms, now this is like one of the things where if you look at the original Chrome Dome, the arms and his legs, all the appendages appear very robotic. They really appear like they are bits and pieces sort of put together. The NECA Chrome Dome, because it's how he appears in the cartoon, his arms and his legs almost appear like it's just kind of like a guy with like some pants and like a shirt on or something like that. It doesn't necessarily look 100% robotic. They tried a little bit, but it kind of just doesn't hit that same kind of thing that the original Chrome Dome has. That's, like I said, that's nothing on NECA. They are doing a great job of copying the Fred Wolf version. It's just, a difference. That circle on his shoulder there, it's missing the red circle on top. He does have like those two silver spots in the middle of his arm. On the back of his tricep, the original color was silver. And then I guess when they, put them in the cartoon, they made them blue. I kind of prefer the blue. I think that looks a little nicer. I think it stands out. I think even the elbow pad being silver and not red, like how he's got that like red pointed elbow pad there. I think it just looks a little better. I think that there is more of a nice color balance between everything on his arm than on the original arm. I don't know, just something about it. He does have those blue shapes, those like guard pads or something like that on his forearms. And he does have the red hoops or circles around his arm. But here it looks more of like a tube or something like that, like a plastic tube, kind of like you're at the end of like a gutter or something like that. Where this one is just kind of looks like he's got some cool wristbands on. Yeah. On his leg, you can see that he has like, and it's difficult to make this stuff out because it's so dark. Hopefully you can see that a little better now. You can see that he has like sort of like vents or something like that on the tops of his thighs. He definitely has a lot more plates, and the plates are just, they're a little nicer looking. They have bolts. They aren't just kind of like squares. They like are different shapes. It looks a little more interesting. Now, one thing I do like on the cartoon version is like this red circle within side of the blue circle. I think just having that blue is just kind of a little stale or something like that on the original one. Obviously, this thing is a little more thought out because you have this little ridge going across the top. Here, they kind of just cut that right out. Now, one thing that they did remove that I told, like I said, they had it in the cartoon, but for whatever reason, they did not put it on this brand new NECA Chrome Dome, is this silver triangle piece on the bottom of his shin right above his foot. So they removed that for some reason. Just a lot of really nice details on the Chrome Dome. Now, if you look at the back, he's got those cool wings. That's awesome. But obviously, they are set up very differently. Fred Wolf Chrome Dome almost appears like he has like solar panels or something like that on his back, where the original Chrome Dome has more of a wings. I really like looking at the back of Chrome Dome's helmet, the original one. Like, it looks very, samurai or whatever. Like, it's just got a neat, very unique shape. And I think his head is like one of the easiest heads to turn around. Like, I could spin his head around all day long. All right, so if you look at Chrome Dome's back, you can see that he has this giant panel and like wires and stuff like that. So you can clearly see where they got the inspiration of the main control panel. That would definitely be his main control panel. Only in the cartoon, they kind of, they really simplified that by making it just this little tiny plate on the back of his belt down here. So yeah, you can see where they were going, what they came from, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Both of them are very cool. Well, I lied about that being brief. Nothing with me is ever brief. All right, so let's talk about Chrome Dome's articulation. First, he has a ball-jointed neck. Now, I can't really get him to look up very high. I can get him to look down a little bit. Mostly, I can just get his head to turn around, side to side. It works okay. Mine's a little stiff, which is okay, because you don't want him to have like a huge bobblehead or anything like that. He has a ball joint in his torso right here. I can get him to look or like bend forward a little bit and to lean back a little bit, but not very much at all. I can't really get him to rock back and forth. I think you have the ability to be able to do that. It's just mine doesn't want to do it too much. Sometimes like the upper torso, like this will get off center from like his abdomen, which is kind of a bummer because I like having like this piece line up with this piece. And I don't know, I just can't get it on center for some reason. Yeah, it's like either too stiff or something. I don't know. So he does have a cut in his waist, so you can turn side to side. That's good. In his shoulder here, he has a ball joint, or I'm sorry, you have a hinge, and you can rotate that all the way around. You have a cut in the bicep here, so you can swivel that around. Again, very stiff, but that's a good thing. He has got double jointed elbows, so you can get I don't know, these elbows aren't too bad. Sometimes double jointed elbows can look a little funky, but these look okay. You have a swivel in the wrist, and you have a hinge too. That's nice. Down here in the hip area, you have like the NECA ball system, where the thigh kind of wraps around that ball in his groin. It's like you can get him to move that leg a little forward, but not too far, because you start to hit the this cod piece or whatever right here. You can't really get him to rotate back too far, because then his butt piece gets in the way. You can get him to kick out to the side. You can rotate a little bit. He's got double jointed knees. They work pretty good. That's fine. You don't have any rotation cuts or anything like that in the thigh. You don't have any kind of rotation down here in the shin area. So you're not... The only point of rotation here, I guess, is up here in the hips. You do have a hinge in the ankle. You have ankle rockers. And you also have a cut in the toe there. So that's pretty good. He's not the most articulated action figure, but I think that his points of articulation will work very well. I mean, he's a pretty big guy. And I don't know, if he had like too many, I don't know, it would just kind of start to kill like the aesthetic of this guy. I think he looks, that's like joint paint wearing off right there. I think he looks and he works just fine. So this guy does have less articulation than most of these NECA Ninja Turtle action figures, but he still works really well, and he looks awesome. I mean, look at him. He looks great. He looks very similar to how he appears in the cartoon, and, in my honest opinion, he probably, in general, leans towards how he appears in Night of the Rogues. There are, it's pretty much the same exact design as in Planet of the Turtleoids. There's just certain things about it that are just a little different, that make him look a little closer to that episode, that interpretation of him or whatever. And now we get to talk about accessories. First up, Chrome Dome has 2 swords, and I love the look of these things. I think they are really awesome looking. They look very futuristic, and I think they also look very Technodrome inspired. They look like Krang got these in Dimension X or something like that. I love how you have like the white part on the outside, and the blade is that gray part that kind of sits in between the white part. I don't know. There's just something about it that looks really awesome. Even these like little, like the serrated part right here looks really cool. I like how the back isn't even a blade. It just has like this black segmented piece right there. I don't know. These are pretty cool looking. I also really like the handles. There's something about the design of the handles I really like a lot. Like where you have the black and then you have this blue like cushiony part, I would just imagine. You have the little red circle up there. I don't know. Both of them are very cool. And unfortunately, both of these are not in the cartoon. Chrome Dome does not use swords at all in the cartoon. He only uses that blaster, and that's it. So where did NECA get the idea to give him these 2 swords? Why, the original Playmates action figure, of course. Now, these original swords were called Neutron Ninja Swords. But they don't look very futuristic. They still look very, modern. Like, I guess this one has like some circles and stuff like that on the blade, which could be kind of technology. I don't know. They are definitely not as cool as these brand new swords. These swords are really awesome. Whoever made this at NECA did an amazing job. Like I said, very inspiring, very unique, and very cool looking. These old swords are just kind of, they were okay. But even, just like the original swords, one of these swords is longer than the other one. So, I don't know. I really like these a lot. They're very cool. The swords fit in his belt, or if you want to be technical about it, the Shogun sash I think is what it's called in the original toy line. The swords fit in these really well. You can see that they have the hole there, and they have a very cool notch there, which fits the blade perfectly. Look at that. Look how well that went in there. And they just look really awesome in there. The only problem is one of the swords is a little tight getting in there, and when you try to put it in the sheath, some of the blue paint wears off on the sword, so that kind of stinks. Chrome Dome comes with 2 specific sword holding hands, and both of these work really well. The grips are a little tight. Like, I had to force the one sword to get in there And then the other sword kind of just slipped in pretty easily. But yeah, you know, the only thing he'll be able to hold with these hands are these two swords. So I'm just glad that he has the ability to hold the swords because, you know, sometimes you get action figures and they can't hold their weapons. But, you know, these look awesome. Up next, you have Chrome Dome's blaster, and this is a very cool looking blaster. This only appears in Planet of the Turtleoids, but, you know, when you get to see it, it is pretty awesome looking. Gotta say. Chrome Dome has this little tiny peg sticking off of his belt, which is nice because you can stick that blaster right on there. And that's just like the cartoon, you know, that is really awesome. Here you can see, you know, all these different kind of shapes, like here, this barrel here, this connecting piece right here, this little bit right there, you know, you can see all that in the cartoon when it's hanging on his belt. I would just say that in the cartoon, the shape of this blaster gets a little soft. You know, it's a little more circular. This is a little more square. And I don't know. I kind of prefer the way this action figure or this accessory looks in toy form. Here's another shot where Chrome Dome is shooting this blaster. And here they goofed on that color. See how that one bit is a little too dark? Well, here is the blaster toy. And you can, you know, check that out again and see how close they were to matching the cartoon. Now, I don't think that they actually show this side of the blaster in the cartoon. Either that or I just never took a picture of it. I don't know. But, you know, you have this little, like, black pill shape there. That looks nice, you know, even if it is something they came up with. Now, I will be honest with you. I have not been able to get my Chrome Dome to hold this gun yet. He's got one specific gun holding hand, and the grip on that hand is ridiculous. It is very, very thin. Very, very tight grip. And these fingers are just like hard as a rock. Like I can barely get them to move. It's like they're made out of adamantium or something like that. I tried putting like a pencil in between them to try to stretch the fingers out a little bit and then try to get the gun in there. But all it did was it like crushed the side of the pencil. Like I don't know what's going on here, but this is very stiff. I'll probably have to try to warm this up. Well, it took a little bit of heat, but I finally got it. Check that out. I got that blaster right in his hand. You know, this, once you actually do get it in the hand, it fits in the hand extremely well. I mean, his trigger finger rests right on the trigger, and the grip, you know, just, you know, grabs onto that handle really well. Now, taking it in and out is going to be a little difficult, I imagine, but, you know, I haven't decided what I'll do yet. You know, if I'll try to holster this thing on his side or just leave it in this hand, and whenever I want him to have the blaster, just switch the hands out. I don't know. Haven't made up my mind yet. But here is another shot of the gun in the cartoon, so you can see how this brand new action figure compares to the cartoon design. Very, very close. All right, next up we have the computer that Zach uses to hack into Chrome Dome's mind. The color of this computer matches the color of the cartoon really well. Even the cel-shaded look, where it's like a little darker, that looks really nice. The screen looks pretty nice on this thing too. I think the keyboard is really well done. Like all the details on that is nice. The disk drive all looks good. All this stuff looks really, really good. But, you know, the actual computer itself looks a little different in the cartoon. First, like the keyboard is kind of its own separate piece, and it's kind of big. You know, it's a chunky keyboard. The computer in the cartoon doesn't have any of the vents that this computer does in the back here. Like that does not show up in the cartoon at all. I don't know how I got all these marks here. That's not cool. Maybe it's just really worn because it's been in a factory for so long. The cartoon monitor has like red buttons underneath that monitor piece. And it's also like the screen kind of goes right up against the very edge of it. Here on this NECA toy, you can see that there is like a frame within this, you know, around the monitor before you get to the actual edge of the computer monitor. You know, I was kind of curious, is this something that appeared in another NECA line and they just kind of repurposed it for this Ninja Turtle line? Or was this made specifically for this line? Because, you know, like I said, there's you have these little tiny differences that kind of make me think or wonder if it was from a different line. Either way, it still looks really cool. I like it. And this is just really cool to have in general. You could use this with a lot of different lines. You could have your J. Jonah Jameson sitting in front of this computer in your Daily Bugle diorama or something like that. You can do a lot of cool things with this computer. I would have killed for a computer like this when I was a kid. We're past all the cool stuff now, and all we have left is hands. All right, Chrome Dome here comes with a ton of hands. A lot, really. Like, he comes with 9 different hands, which is pretty awesome. Most of them are sets, but then you have one that is a special standalone hand, all right? So let's go over the different sets. First, you have a set of fists. These look pretty good. I also want to mention, too, that a lot of the hinges are very stiff, so I'm going to have to try to loosen some of these up. Like, this one I can move pretty well, but this one is, like, locked in place. I can barely move it. So his wrist is a little too far out. Like, maybe if it was locked like this, that way he could just clock Mikey right in the face. That'd be great, but, like I said, just going to warm it up and hopefully not break that hinge there. All right, on to the next ones. Next up, you have a set of karate chop hands. These are pretty cool. Or, dude, what did I stick my hand in? These smell awful kind of hands. Maybe they're flying hands. Maybe he can extend these out and then use his wings to fly. Like Peter Pan or something like that. Up next, you have his sword gripping hands. And these are pretty awesome because the swords fit perfectly in them. They have a very nice tight grip. The shape of the grip, like the hand hole, is pretty much a rectangle, which is perfect for the handle of these swords. So, these are great. All right, what's next? Up next, you have a set of reaching hands, and I love these kind of hands. I love when action figures have these hands because there's so many different things you can do with them. You can pretend that he's reaching. You can pretend that he's grabbing. I actually was before, if you saw, I had a shot of him holding Raph upside down with these hands because, I had it wrapped around his foot a little bit. It was a little tricky to get the balance, but I got it, and it was good for the shot. Like I said, you could reach things, you can try to grab things. You can also use them for different expressions. These are great for that. You can get him into nice diabolical positions, like he's thinking about, now I will rule the world kind of stuff, I don't know. I love these things. They're very nice for accenting poses and stuff like that. So I always love when they include these kind of hands. And last but not least, certainly a much needed trigger blaster gripping hand. This works great. When you can get that blaster in the hand, it looks fantastic. And that's it. That's all 9 hands. Definitely lots of cool, a really good mix of hands here. You should be able to pose him in lots of fantastic positions or poses. All right, so are there any missing accessories, bits and pieces that could have been included in the set but just weren't for whatever reason? The first thing that comes to my mind is that awesome Disintegrator from Night of the Rogues. That would have been a very cool accessory to include here. Maybe they can release that down the line. If they ever release Tempestra, release that Disintegrator. Other things that I could think of is, possibly just alternate heads and stuff like that. Like if they could have had a head or even like a little trapdoor that you could have opened to reveal Chrome Dome's brain. That would have been pretty awesome. Maybe they could have included plans or blueprints for the Technodrome Mark II. They really didn't need to, though. I mean, they had so many awesome things in this set or this deluxe figure package that they didn't really need to include any paper goods here. The last thing that I can think of is this device that Shredder uses to turn Chrome Dome on. Oh, you know what would have been really cool? Is if maybe they included a 10th hand. Yeah, a special projectile shooting hand. That would have been really cool, No, not like it really shoots projectiles. Just that it's like, molded or sculpted to look as though it's shooting projectiles. But, these are dreams, They didn't have to go above and beyond here. I think what they did was already amazing enough. These are just, like I said, if there was anything else that could have been included, these are some of the things that they could have included, not that they had to include these things. And now let's take a look at Chrome Dome. next to some of the amazing Ninja Turtle lines going on right now. Here he is next to, I'm pretty sure, every single body type in this Fred Wolf Ninja Turtle action figure series, whatever. There's just so many different characters in here. I think I've covered everybody I have so far. It's really hard to tell though, because there's so many different body types now. This looks really awesome, all these guys, but obviously this is just getting harder and harder to make these shots. There are too many toys in this toy line, and Chrome Dome towers above them all. He is now the tallest Fred Wolf action figure, beating out Krang the android body. He was the tallest for a while, but maybe they'll make a supersized Krang android body, something to try to beat Chrome Dome and put him in his place. Here he is next to just a few Super 7 Ultimates. Because he is so big, he actually fits in with this line pretty well. It'll be interesting to see how big the Ultimate Chrome Dome is whenever that is eventually released. His design is very sleek, very streamlined and sort of simplified, I guess, compared to these guys. There isn't a lot of detail or anything like that, and these guys kind of have excessive detail, especially all the wrinkles and the Bebop and Rocksteady's skin and all that kind of stuff. So, he kind of mixes okay, but also at the same time, he's pretty different compared to them. But he probably still would look awesome fighting Leo or any of your other Ninja Turtle Ultimates. Here's Chrome Dome next to some of the Playmates Ninja Turtles. I don't think there's any kind of special name for this line at the moment. It used to be the Classics line because people were copying Masters of the Universe Classics, but I think just now it's just Ninja Turtles and that's it. There's nothing vastly different about his design. He does have those ink lines, but because he's robotic, it looks like normal. There's nothing really about him that is different from these other guys. So in my opinion, he's compatible with Mikey and Bebop here. If you wanted to see how this brand new NECA Chrome Dome looked next to the old Playmates action figures, well, here you go. Maybe you want to try to recreate even a more cartoon accurate fight between Chrome Dome and the Turtles, where they are just teeny tiny compared to him, and you can pretend that your Technodrome is the Mark II. You're going to have to paint it gold, though, and you have to change the eye a little bit. But, he looks cool next to these guys, but obviously styles are clashing a little bit, The Turtles, there's nothing too detailed about, Leo and Raph, but, some of the other guys, like Muckman or Scumbug, they get a little too detailed. Bebop is all right, too. His design isn't too crazy or anything like that. And that's it! Finally! After the longest wait ever, I finally reviewed Chrome Dome. This took forever. Just finishing this video took me a week because this week I've been crazy busy. I had to work overtime every day this week. I think I worked 57 hours. So I was trying to record a little bit here and there, just every night, just to try to pump this thing out. I meant to have this out 5 days ago. That did not happen. But all in all, I really thought that this Chrome Dome was a very cool action figure. I think he looks really awesome next to the Ninja Turtles. Very intimidating, very big and scary robot. He's pretty cool. And that's it. So thanks for watching. Talk to you later and have a good one.